G'day folks, just a little look at potential weather patterns developing by late next week, say Friday, Saturday at this stage. It's still very early days, so we don't want to make too many presumptions at this stage about what actually will happen. But it's interesting just to look at the Windy app and see what it's showing. This is the GFS forecasting model for early on Friday morning, very early, 3 a.m. And if you use a weather picker, which just hold your finger over the heart is just my favourites, those little hearts on the screen that I've selected for different areas. But just say, for example, press your finger over orange or right click your mouse, and then you get the weather picker that comes up. And it's showing minus 25 in the upper levels at 500 hectopascals. Okay, so that's quite cold. Not amazing, but quite cold. If you go into the menu and go down to the bottom, you'll see the temperature slider. So it's on 500 hectopascals, which is around 5,500 meters above sea level. You can go down to 850 hectopascals. At the bottom, it's just an important or valuable lower area of the atmosphere that we use to determine the potency or coldness of an air mass. So press the red cross up the top there to close the menu. Go back to, say, orange, for example, and right click your mouse over orange or press your finger and hold it down over orange on your phone until the weather picker comes up. And -1, so that's pretty cold. So this is a fairly cold system forecast to come on, say, roughly next Friday and into Saturday. But be mindful that the surface pressure is fairly high over the central tableland. So that tends to indicate not a lot of uplift and not necessarily a lot of snow-making clouds. You can see that lovely low off the coast east of Sydney there, but the centre of that low and the instability associated with it is somewhat out to sea. So it's still a significant system, and it may not develop as this GFS chart on Sunday afternoon indicates. Maybe a little different in reality. But it's just interesting to see what it's doing potentially as it develops on Friday. Let's slide the days further along at the bottom of the screen just slowly, and you'll notice the patterns change. Still fairly high pressure there across Sydney in the central tablelands, and then we can go further still, and that low staying off the coast, but it's still significant, whipping up fairly good winds, I'd imagine, and certainly creating rough seas, so that may impact on coastal areas, and we'll have to see how it develops in the charts from today over the next few days to see what the models might suggest potentially for outcomes as we get closer to the actual event. I'm just going to go a little further into the pressure's still fairly high there. The low's not really moving into the Sydney area and across the Blue Mountains, so you can see it's actually moving a little northeast there. So that may not happen either. We don't know yet. It's just models trying to reconcile the cold upper air interacting with the sea surface temperatures. So we'll see. But it is interesting to watch. And that's just one feature of the windy.com app. You go into the hamburger menu on the bottom right there. And down the bottom you'll see if you select temperature further up in the menu there, and then you can see the orange circle that's highlighting temperature there. Go down to the bottom of that menu and you'll see that slider. It's currently on the 850 hectopascal area of the atmosphere, which is roughly 1,500 meters above sea level. It varies depending on the pressure and so you can bring that slider, say, up to 500 hectopascals there to get the temperatures in the mid-levels, forecast temperatures, or you can go right up to 300 hectopascal where the jet stream is, and even change that from temperature to, say, winds and other things. So that's one of the features. And you can also just go to, let's take that. You can also go to, press on the little icon. See the head icon on the bottom right hand side? That's where my favourites are. I've got Blackheath, Oberon Dam, Orange, Shooters Hill Cemetery and Sydney. Press the arrow at the top left hand side corner there to go back to the main screen. If you don't have those favourites set up, you can just bring out the screen and press on one area, say orange for example, with your finger or your mouse, and it'll bring up the temperature for that on the forecast for that area. And then you can scroll with your finger along for the different 3-hourly forecasts. You can see for the ECMWF model there. I've got actual 1-hour forecast too, because I've got the paid subscription version. So I press on the 1-hour selection at the bottom and it gives me the temperature every hour. And that's for ECMWF model, but that hasn't come out, the latest model, for Sunday night yet. So this is based on this morning's charts or this morning's information. But if you press that ECMWF selection at the bottom right there and then select GFS at the bottom left, near the bottom left, that has come out. That tends to come out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the latest model information. So even though it's not as good a resolution as ECMWF, it's still a fairly good model, quite often used. So if you want the information before ECMWF updates its data roughly at 6 or 7 p.m, select GFS there, and that comes out at say 3 or 4 p.m. typically in the afternoon. And then you can run your finger across. I've got the 1-hourly updates, as I said, for the subscription version of the app. If you've got the free version, it's 3-hourly. I'll put it back to 3-hourly. And there you can see just the forecast there, predictions. Doesn't mean it'll literally be that, it's just the model prediction. And you can click on basic at the bottom, and that gives you options for wind, meteogram, airgram. But that's a little bit more complex, and maybe we can discuss that another time. Okay guys, I hope that was interesting. Let's see how this system develops. I'll take that back down to surface temperatures. Let's see how it develops on the charts over the coming days, and it'll be interesting to know if the models continue to indicate this powerful system, more likely to be wet and windy, but snow is possible in the higher parts. So we'll see how it pans out as we get closer to game day, as they say, by around Friday or Saturday. Thanks for listening and watching. I'll see you later.